Attention! I'm Sergeant Slaughter, and this is Monsters of the Mat. Attention! Eyes front! Fall in front of your couch! Sit down! Okay, at ease. Settle back as the sergeant is about to bring you a card of the best in killer crushing wrestling action. Monster action from the USA Sports Videos Monsters of the Mat. That's right, troops. The sport of real men is coming right into your living rooms. And I know you're okay, because no pinko commie foreigners have the guts to handle this. We're talking back-breaking body slams, brain-crushing headlocks, leg-crushing figure fours, and sky-high superplexes. Soldiers, get ready, because what you're about to see ain't pretty. There ain't nothing pansy-wansy about what you're about to see. This is battling, brawling, man-on-man, blood and guts. I'll tell you what it is. It's the American way. And it's what's made this country great. USA, #1. Now straighten up, dog faces. On our card tonight, we got some mean tag team action. Two good old American boys gone bad. Dr. Death and Ted DiBiase are going to mix it up with Hector and Chavo Guerrero from down Mexico way. It's going to be a battle of raw firepower against ring savvy. And I like the way they're going to settle this in a steel cage. When the dust settles and the bodies are cleared, all hell's going to break loose. Them fancy dancy dandies, the Midnight Express, are joined by their mama boy manager, Jimmy Cornette, to take on Mountain Man, Hacksaw Jim Dugan, and the Fantastics. But tonight's wars begin with the most coveted title in the world on the line, the Medal of Honor of all pro wrestling, the NWA Heavyweight Championship. Ric Flair may be a bit of a pretty boy, but he's one tough hombre when the going gets tough. And the Nature Boy is going to need all his natural toughness when he faces a real red-blooded American, tomahawking Wahoo McDaniel. Wahoo wants the title bad, and he'll do anything short of scalping to get it. Okay, fall in. Suck those guts in. Shoulders square. The Monsters of the Mat are set to attack, and the Sarge says, charge!
This match has been ordered back for the NWA Heavyweight title. To my left, the challenger, weighing in at 250 pounds, from Midland, Texas, Chief Wahoo McDaniel. The current National Wrestling Alliance NWA Heavyweight Champion from Charlotte, North Carolina, weighing in at 242 pounds, Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, world's heavyweight champion, and the title on him looks well deserved. Is a man who stays in condition, a man who knows what he's doing when he steps in that ring, and while fans don't always like his style, they most certainly have to admire the fact that although he's not the biggest wrestler in the world, he can lay claim to the title that goes right back to wrestling's origin in this country, and that is the one that is held by the National Wrestling Alliance heavyweight champion Ric Flair, and in this case Wahoo McDaniel, who is one of the toughest people ever to challenge for the title. Flair knows he's in for a battle. There's no question about it. Wahoo never comes out of that ring that doesn't give somebody the battle of their life. And he has an aggressive style mixed in with the fact that he is an Indian, that he is a former All-American football player, that he is a former professional football player. All of that sports background of his is well placed on the shoulders of Wahoo McDaniel. And he knows how to worry a champion. Right now, he has backed down Ric Flair. Ric Flair came in there with all the confidence in the world, and Wahoo just stared at him, looked at him, and then walked toward him, and Ric Flair decided that he'd better move. So as they pull and tug around on their feet, it is Flair with a side headlock, and Wahoo tries to get a well-balanced stance. He comes out with a Japanese arm lock and gets leverage that can take the champion off his feet, and does. So Flair on the canvas, and Wahoo McDaniel working on the arm bar. Double wrist lock. Wahoo, as he pulls that up, is confident, of course, that he's got the controlling interest in that arm, and he knows how to use it. The double wrist lock is the workhorse hold of wrestling, and one that gets a man out of more trouble and puts him into better positions than any other single hold. Not generally a match-winning hold, but it's a hold that leads to a match-winning hold. The Indian side headlock, clamps it on there, and does so with a guttural vengeance. That blonde hair of Ric Flair's is quite a trademark. It was the trademark of Gorgeous George. It has been the trademark of a lot of people. And the days have long since passed when a man couldn't walk around with blonde hair and long blonde hair. And oh, Ric Flair got over Wahoo McDaniel, but he came down on the back of McDaniel and then onto the floor, and he wasn't quite sure of what had happened. He thought, oh man, how he came in there that time. He clobbered the champion. He laid that wallop in the jaw with a vengeance, and the look of absolute surprise on the face of Ric Flair was almost beautiful to behold. And now as he bears in there and he tries to keep the challenger in the corner, and a give and a take, and a slashing tomahawk blows by Wahoo McDaniel, and Ric Flair, who was determined to face the issue right then and there, made a tactical blunder as he comes off on the short end of the chopping and the tomahawk swinging, and now it's a reverse chin lock as Wahoo McDaniel gets into a position from behind where he can lean his weight into the world's heavyweight champion, bend that neck if he can, bend it forward, and as referee Carl Fergie moves around, checks to see if it's a strangle or not. Now Ric Flair has moved so that it becomes a side headlock, and of course this takes a little bit different pressure. It hits in a different place, and it gives the man in whom it is held a little pressure where perhaps he can't stand it. Flair, standing position, you see him pushing into the ropes. That's what he was fighting for, to get up to his feet so he could counter. Oh, again he comes up with that blow, and he stung Wahoo McDaniel, and Wahoo comes back and starts swinging those open-handed chops, and it is Ric Flair who winds up on the canvas. Oh man, what a wild blow that it came from way back, and again, Wahoo comes back from way behind him. He has a way of moving those chops. His arm disappears behind him, and then as he swings around, he comes in and lay it in there, and the champion goes out on the floor of the Coliseum determined to think things over. He has made a couple of strategic errors here, and he knows it. And he's been too proud to back away from Wahoo, and he has lost the Battle of the Chop on 2 distinct occasions. To say nothing about that wallop, that one wild wallop that started it all. So Wahoo comes in, and Flair has decided that driving that knee up there could bring Wahoo into a bent over position and make him just a little bit more vulnerable. Flair is arguing with the referee. Flair is determined not to be pushed around by Wahoo or by the referee, but Wahoo is having his problems. The last blows have been good ones for Ric Flair, and the referee wants Wahoo to get out of that corner. He's out, and here's Flair trying to lay his body in there with his, oh, how he does that. He has a tremendous sense of timing. He caught the head, he come in there and dropped down. Wahoo has raised his shoulder, and again he has raised his shoulder at the count of 2. That left shoulder of his came up, there's 1, and Wahoo is close to being pinned. His leg is held up there, and he is wrapped up in the grip, and the champion has his foot against the rope. There is, the referee caught it. The referee calls for the break, and Ric Flair gets up on his feet and comes down before Wahoo has a chance to move. He may have strengthened his hold with that particular maneuver. And this time it's Wahoo decides that his foot is over the rope. You learn rapidly or you don't stay in the ring. So Wahoo catches it. The blow underneath the chin up against the throat, and the champion moves in there to start pummeling him. Reverse armbar. Here's the Wahoo chant. Listen to those fans as they scream for Wahoo. So the Indian love call is still going. Some people giving that tremulous call that they think is an Indian trait. Some Indians do it. But Wahoo likes to make his sounds the sound of fist colliding with jaw, or that tomahawk chop just blasting against his opponent. He says that's the one that inspires him. So Flair took him down. Wahoo is in the ropes, and the champion argues with the referee, and somebody on the outside is arguing with Flair, and Flair just nonchalantly turns around and tells him what he thinks of him, and then turns his attention to Wahoo McDaniel again. In behind Flair, and Flair goes for a hammerlock. He has it. He pulls that arm up behind the back, and he puts his foot on the rope again, looking for that extra inch of leverage that gives him a push ahead. So Flair went after the arm. It was behind the back. He was able to drop on the tricep muscle, and he came down on it hard. So Flair, with his use of the grip, uncovers the rib case of Wahoo McDaniel and then drives his foot up in that. But it's the twist on the arm that is adding to Wahoo's discomfort because of the way that knee landed on it. There's the twist again, and Wahoo is able to bend his arm, and woo, a little exchange, and again Flair starts to try to stand up and throw chops with Wahoo. It just doesn't work that way. 10 minutes have gone in this match. The world's heavyweight title is at stake. The NWA belt is right here to be given to the winner. And Ric Flair is the man who brought it into the ring, and Wahoo McDaniel is the man who hopes to become the first Indian ever to be recognized as the heavyweight champion of the world. That's always been his dream. And right now, his dream seems a little close as he got after his target repeatedly, but that knee bounced right up there and caught Wahoo in the midsection. And now we've got referee Carl Fergie standing up and laying down the law to Flair. The best chop of the night, the best chop of the match, and Flair felt it. He gets a lift back and he dropped him hard, and this could be it. There's one, there's two, and there's Flair. That's why he's champion, because in situations like that, he calls on every muscle of his body to operate at once, to cooperate with each other and to do something, and he got out that time. Flair backing up, trying to get out of the range of Wahoo's chops. But as he's in that corner, he's thinking, trying to maneuver Wahoo into the position he's in. There it is. He did it. And Flair gets Wahoo doubled up. But you can see that the foot is high on the rope. He was depending on a quick pin, hoping to catch the referee in behind Wahoo where he couldn't see. Didn't work out that way. And Wahoo has averted the disaster, and the champion, oh man, he came in there that time and literally knocked his block off. And here on the floor alongside of us, here on the concrete, is Ric Flair. And Wahoo is impatient. You see him grabbing the blonde hair of Ric Flair, trying to raise him up where he can take a crack at him. And Flair came over that time with a simple gesture. He stuck his thumb in the direction of Wahoo McDaniel's eye. Oh, man, how he clobbered him that time. And again, Wahoo with that long driving blow that he delivers so well. Wahoo in the ropes and shoulder butt, well applied. And Wahoo goes for the backslide, and the champion is being rolled back. There's one, there's two, and he managed to get those long legs of his over there to turn them and to twist his shoulders out of trouble. And through the ropes and outside goes Wahoo McDaniel. He was one arm there by the world's heavyweight champion. There's Flair up there into that ring post. And Wahoo is on the floor. He has been smashed headfirst into the ring post. He is up against the barrier that is around the ring, and Flair is anxious to keep him there. He comes around with a first-class driving chop, and Whoa, put a stop to it. There's Flair. Flair is crashed into the ring post and down onto the concrete. And the referee now is trying to get Wahoo back. Flair has hit that thing solidly and hard. Almost, it seemed, with the whole length of his face. And his head is bleeding. He is in the ring. He is trying to avoid Wahoo if he can. And Wahoo is trying to make sure that he just doesn't avoid him. The swinging chop of the Indian again. And now Ric Flair goes through the ropes and over, and he goes up and down, and he caught a chop, and this could be it. Wahoo hit him on the way down. There's one, and there's two, and I'll tell you that Flair can find a rope with that leg. And of course it's the referee's prerogative, but few referees will call a man down if he's got a foot over the rope and he sees it. Wahoo, Indian war dance, victory dance, rain dance, doesn't matter. It's Wahoo. And as he comes in there now, he tries to splash Ric Flair all over the canvas. 15 minutes have gone by. He's going for a back body drop, a beautiful maneuver. There's two, and There it is again, that foot over the ropes, and Wahoo has come close, but close counts only in horseshoes. And over the top rope goes the champion. The referee says he did not get thrown over the top rope. He went over of his momentum after he was hit, and Wahoo finds that jaw of his repeatedly. On top. There it is, there's a 3 count, and Ric Flair, who has used the rope repeatedly to avoid being pinned, used the rope that time to balance himself and to win the match. Rick, there is the winner, and still the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, and Wahoo McDaniel is disconsolate.
Wahoo came close to getting that coveted belt, but close doesn't count except in horseshoes, or in my favorite sport besides wrestling, throwing hand grenades. Now if Flair would only get rid of those sissy robes and silly hair and look like a real man. Next we have a real man's match when Steve, Dr. Death Williams, and the gloved one, and I don't mean Michael Jackson, I'm talking about Ted DiBiase, meet Hector and Chavo Guerrero in a steel cage showdown. The boys from Mexico may not have been born in the USA, but they got the right spirit. It's going to be a double-barreled frontal assault.
The special referee for this evening's cage bout for the Mid-South Tag Team titles with no DQ, Alberto Madril. Currently in the ring, weighing in at 277 pounds from Oklahoma University, Steve Dr. Death Williams. His partner in the other half of the Mid-South Tag Team title holders, weighing in at 272 pounds from Omaha, Nebraska, Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase and Dr. Death await the arrival of their opposition.
Challengers in this no disqualification match, weighing in at a combined weight of over 432 pounds, Hector Pistolas and Chavo Guerrero.
And the 5th man in the ring is Alberto Madril, former world's junior heavyweight champion, a man who won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship here in the Houston ring, right here in the Sam Houston Coliseum, a few years ago when he defeated Nelson Royal. Shortly after that, Madril was taken down by a malady and was forced to relinquish the title. But right now, we've got Texas Tornado going. We've got all 4 men in the ring at the same time. And Madril faced with the job of trying to get some sense of order as up above me comes Chavo Guerrero, and the blonde hair is Hector Guerrero. And Hector is now playing in a movie in Hollywood, and that's the reason for his blonde hair. But that's not the reason for that bump on the head of Ted DiBiase. Now as Chavo Guerrero pursues him, you see him going after Ted DiBiase and trying to double him up in the middle with punishment around the midsection. And Chavo flying mare, and we've got a skid right down the sides of his face that must have started right at the nose, and a back bottom drop, and Chavo Guerrero places Ted DiBiase in position for a real bit of punishment. Now the match is settled down to a tag team event, which it was scheduled to be in the first place. The Mid-South Tag Team title is at stake in this, and the champions DiBiase and Dr. Death are looking for the opportunity now to hang on to that coveted title and the belts that symbolize it. Ted DiBiase tried to get out on the floor of the ring. This fence around the ring is simple but sturdy, and he was stopped cold in his tracks. So DiBiase backs up to Steve Williams, and then comes out of the corner and comes to face Chavo Guerrero. Up on the top turnbuckle is Hector Guerrero. He's standing up there watching his brother go to work, and now his brother's on the receiving end. Here is a quick switch, and DiBiase backdropped and backdropped well. A hard landing. So DiBiase doesn't like the idea of being hemmed in. Claustrophobia setting in, and here comes Hector Guerrero setting in. With a quick wrap up here, he takes a fast roll to wrap him up and try to tie him up completely, and this time DiBiase has worked it well. He has maneuvered around and trapped Hector Guerrero into that corner and left him where Dr. Death could get after him and work him over. Dr. Death, former Oklahoma All-American in football and in wrestling, and this time he was hit with a Mexican clothes hanger, and it was a beauty. In behind, Hector Guerrero, and off of the buckle comes brother Chavo. He gets over, he wraps him up. There's one, there's two. Referee Al Madril, who is a special referee for this battle, comes down there with a 2 count, but not a 3 count. The driving knee of Chavo Guerrero, and now the double punishment of Chavo and Hector, setting him up on all sides here as the action goes, and there's a race across that ring to get up there and lay that knee into him. Man down. Dr. Death, he's trying to get over to tag Ted DiBiase. It didn't work, and now is this great Coliseum crowd, and it is a huge crowd. Roars their approval. Hector Guerrero went through the air and spun around in the air and come down on top of Steve Williams. There's a touch. In comes Chavo. Oh, how that can pierce you, I'll tell you. When you stiffen those knees and come down, it's like being hit with that many pounds of rock falling. So Chavo goes to work, and so does Steve Williams. He literally raced Chavo over into the hands of Ted DiBiase and got him into a spot where they could both go to work on him. DiBiase now, properly touched, comes in to take on Chavo and up into the steel fence, and it is an immovable object, believe me. 5 minutes have gone by as DiBiase, who is one of the most dangerous individuals in the wrestling game today and is proud of that Mid-South Tag Team title, carefully manages to wallop Chavo Guerrero. Guerrero's head was cut open in the contact with the steel fence, and DiBiase is working him over to make sure that he gets maximum punishment out of it. Dr. Death aiming and going, and he comes down to land hard on top of the head of Chavo Guerrero. Trouble now is Chavo bleeding badly, and Dr. Death working him over. Tries to coax him up where he can get after him. Chavo's a little dazed. He moves to the wrong corner, and no doubt about the fact that Steve was willing to help him along. In comes Ted DiBiase after a legal tag, and DiBiase senses that things are just right. You saw him with that gloved hand of his, and that gloved hand of his has been a bone of contention. And I say bone, Paul, when there is something that he manages to put into that gloved hand and to lay his opponents down on that canvas after he hits him. A wild wallop to the top of the head with the gloved hand, and down on the canvas comes Chavo Guerrero, and Ted DiBiase with a great deal of satisfaction tells these people to look and see what he's doing to a man who has become his arch rival in the mat wars here in the Mid-South area. And here is Houston Wrestling in the Sam Houston Coliseum. They have had a couple of matches that have been absolutely barn burners, as some people would call them, but the barn is still there and the action is still there. And now Guerrero is taking an unconscionable amount of punishment as he manages to squirm out from Steve Williams. Now as he blasts Dr. Death, he manages to get up to his feet, but he's in the wrong area, and he backed into the corner not knowing where he was. Dr. Death tries to set Chavo Guerrero up. There he comes up to the cradle hold and rocks him right down, rolls him over, and before Chavo can get to the corner, and he again, with the blood running in his eyes, he's having his problem. He went into the wrong corner, but that foot and that slicing chop that came around there, they were in the right spot, and they have gained an opportunity for him to stay in there and to battle. DiBiase maneuvering after him. There's the sleep hold as he caught him first in the clothesline, and Chavo rammed his head into the turnbuckle, and Ted DiBiase's in trouble. And for the first time now, there is the possibility for Chavo to get to his brother and let him get in that ring. He lost the opportunity. He went to the wrong corner. He sensed it and walked away from it, but he walked into Ted DiBiase. And you don't just walk into Ted DiBiase. There's Hector. And now the brotherly spirit comes in there to start to cheer him on. And he manages to ram their heads together. Referee trying to get rid of. Now we've got all four of them in the ring as things start flying all around. And Steve Williams is out of the ring, down on the floor, and under the ring. Now he comes out of the ring, but he has spread this fence about 3 feet away from the ring. It is not coming apart, but it is pushed back from the ring, and he's starting to climb in. As up in the ring, Hector Guerrero is trying his best to pin DiBiase, but in the meantime, Chavo Guerrero has taken the glove from DiBiase. He has taken the glove for him, and he is preparing him. Oh, he turned and blasted him. And listen to the uproar of this crowd as Chavo Guerrero stands there with Ted DiBiase's glove and now slams into Steve Williams, and down goes Ted DiBiase. So now with the armor and the weapon of the opposition, Chavo Guerrero is making the most of it, and three of the four men in there are bleeding right now from wallops, and the blood is running down the nose of Steve Williams and running into the eyes of DiBiase, who has been knocked through the ropes and onto the ring apron as referee Al Madril is arguing. He's arguing with Chavo Guerrero about taking off that glove, and is taking it off for sure and putting it into his pocket. Alberto Madril, veteran wrestler for sure. There is a back body drop, a high lift, and a good one. There's one. There's one again, and the foot of Ted DiBiase goes over the rope. Steve Williams comes up on the opposite side. DiBiase is pulling himself up to his feet, and the hard crashing wallop into the jaw, and with Chavo being down, Alberto Madril has taken the glove out of his pocket, and he has put it on his hand, and Alberto just laid Alberto Madril took the glove out of his pocket, put it in his hand, and laid it into the jaw of both Chavo and Hector Guerrero, and we have a tremendous, he's got me at a loss for words, but the Mid-South Tag Team Champions are leaving the ring, and down on the canvas are Chavo Guerrero and Hector Guerrero. And what a stunning surprise, and what a stunning upset. I haven't seen Al Madril in several years, but surely he's not the Al Madril that I once knew.
Mike doesn't always make right, and it took some underhanded backstabbing to stop the Guerreros. But believe me, they'll be back to hang their next opponents out to dry with their patented Mexican clothesline. All right, Leathernecks, we got a beauty of a battle coming up now. As a host of Monsters of the Mat, I don't like to take sides, but nothing will warm my heart more than seeing that sneevling, slimy, wimpy James E. Cornette, a man who represents everything that's wrong with this great country, have his pinhead handed to him. He's fighting with the Express, those cute little lover boys, against some true blue Americans, Hacksaw Dugan and the Fantastics. Let him rip.
And I introduce to you now the Mid-South Tag Team Champions, the men who represent you, the people, whether you like it or not. Loverboy Dennis and beautiful Bobby, the Midnight Express. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody in Houston, Texas, I'd like for every one of you to rise up right now on your feet and please give a warm, warm welcome for the world's greatest manager, James E. Cornette. Come on now.
So that's the introduction of Jim Cornette and his Midnight Express. We are about to hear now the music and the entrance of the Fantastics and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Jim Duggan made his way inside the ring in his traditional leg stomping, and outside the ring, his two partners, the Fantastics, as they make their traditional walk around the ring, kissing the girls, shaking hands, as they have become one of the top tag teams in the country, as well as the Midnight Express, their opponents. This will be a six-man tag war, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan has two good partners in Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton.
Six-man tag team war. Now entering the ring, weighing in at 275 pounds from New York, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. His partners, weighing in at a combined weight of 420 pounds from the City of Angels, the Fantastics.
So now the introductions are complete. You can see the Fantastics, Tommy Rogers, Bobby Fulton. They come out to the music of ZZ Top's Well-Dressed Man, and right now we are preparing for a six-man tag war. It's very unusual to see manager Jim Cornette in wrestling tights. As you can tell later in the match when you see him, his physique, you can tell that Jim Cornette's not a well-conditioned athlete, nor is he a top-notch wrestler, but he was forced into this stipulation by Mid-South Wrestling officials, and he was the third member of this six-man tag when features his Midnight Express, Dennis Condrey, and Bobby Eaton. And at the time this match took place, Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey, the Midnight Express, were the current Mid-South Tag Champions. And right now the bell sounds. Hacksaw Jim Duggan is he's anxious to get his hands on Jim Cornette. Like many of the wrestlers throughout the wrestling world, he is not a popular manager, and his big sellout crowd at the Sam Houston Coliseum came this night to see this tag bout, and the referee is Carl Fergie. My name is Peter Burkholz, and there you're looking at the Midnight Express, the Mid-South Tag Champions. And as we fade back, you can see some of this capacity crowd at the Coliseum, the home of Houston wrestling, the traditional home for so many years, and also the site of some of the greatest professional wrestling bouts in the history of this great sport. So Bobby Eaton, the man chosen to start it off for his team, as now we have Bobby Fulton starting off for the Fantastics in the Duggan. There's one fall. It's like any other tag team event, when he is able, the man inside the ring is able to tag either partner as the match continues until there's been one fall score, one fall to a finish. Bobby Eaton now signaling Fulton to come on out, and these individuals are no strangers to each other because the Fantastics and the Midnight Express, both highly ranked tag teams, they've faced each other before, and that time Eaton missed and hit Condrey. He almost knocked off Jim Cornette's block, and that would have delighted the sellout crowd at the Coliseum. Jim Cornette's not happy at all. There's no way his mother's money could help him out of that situation. And as he's starting to let Bobby Eaton know he needs to be a little bit more careful and that he didn't like coming that close to getting his block knocked off. So now you see the makeup hug by Bobby Eaton and Jim Cornette as the match will continue. But the fans sure would have loved to seen Eaton lower the boom on Jim Cornette. Good arm drag by Fulton as Eaton quickly finding that he's a little bit baffled at the beginning of this match. And he now claims that his hair was pulled by Fulton. Fulton denies it, as well as thousands of the wrestling fans at the Coliseum. Got Bobby Eaton moving around as he points the finger at Bobby Fulton. Both men are cautious. They're well aware of each other's reputation. As I mentioned before, they have faced each other in the past, and that makes it even more of a temptation to slow down your style, be a little bit more careful with your strategy, because if your opponent knows your strategy, you don't want to leave any kind of opening. Side headlock by Eaton. And Jim Cornette, his #1 fan outside the ropes, cheering Eaton on. Jim Cornette would love nothing better than to be able to see his Midnight Express win this match without even having to step inside the ropes. In the background you see big, powerful Hacksaw Jim Duggan, a big favorite Houston wrestling, also throughout the Mid-South wrestling area. This six-man tag was a match that fans were waiting for a long time. Fulton sets him up, but Eaton beautifully brought down that shoulder and knocked him to the mat. But this is Fulton at his best, when he's able to move around that ring and use his opponent's momentum, and that's exactly what he did with that arm drag. Bobby Fulton, along with his partner Tommy Rogers, and you can say the same thing about the Midnight Express. They are outstanding individual wrestlers, but when they tag together, when they team up, and they've done it for such a long time and have done it so well, they become double tough, and that's why sometimes they give away a little bit in size. But these tag teams you're watching In this match right here, they make it up in their ability to move around the ring and their teamwork, something that is hard to compensate for, even if you get two champion individual wrestlers teaming up in just one night. That teamwork is hard to replace, hard to make a substitute for. Tommy Rogers showing some of his wrestling skills, and he does have them. He has a good scientific background, an amateur background in wrestling. He's developed it into a well-rounded professional attack. And as he holds on to the arm of Eaton, that's Dennis Condrey rather, and now as Tommy Rogers is driving it in one after another, then that forearm, and Tommy Rogers is quick. And when Condrey went for Cornette, you can see Cornette's down on the floor. He doesn't want anything to do with this match. He tried everything he could to get out of the contract. His mother's money, his mother's lawyers couldn't do anything. The contract was signed. The promoters and officials forced Cornette into being in that match, and we may not see too much wrestling action from Cornette. We'll just have to wait and see. Condrey doing the crowding as he doubles up Rogers. And this is Condrey, the way he can explode. All these wrestlers that you'll be watching this match have that ability to explode. And you can see Cornette. He comes in, and you saw why he came in. Tommy Rogers was laying helplessly on the mat. As soon as Rogers has shown any sign of life, Cornette quickly gets back outside the ring with a big smile on his face. Eaton now picking up where Rogers left off. Rogers driving drop kick right across the face of Eaton. And Carl Fergie now warning Rogers that he wants to try to keep some kind of control of this match, but he's in for a very difficult task because these individuals have been waiting a long time to get at each other. Condrey's a man in, and Rogers quickly tags. You're going to see a lot of tagging in this match because they're used to that type of tag team wrestling, and that's a good example of what the Fantastics can do with their teamwork. Condrey hoping to get some mercy from Fulton, but as you can hear from the crowd, they shout for Fulton to yield nothing, to let him have everything he has, and that's what he tried to do. But Condrey's a little bit too smart. He saw the move coming. He was able to get out of the way. And Cornette, once again, comes in when Fulton this time is on the mat. And Jim Cornette quickly, as soon as Fulton showed some life, got back outside the ring as we're watching Jim Cornette at his best, the hit-and-run tactics, but it could pay off in a victory. Their strategy may be to disorient their tag team event. And in comes Duggan. This is the man that wrestling fans love. And Duggan follows up and a blow to the back of the shoulder. And that's Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Make no mistake about it. A colorful wrestler, a man who loves to step inside the ropes and mix it up with any other wrestler in the game. Leapfrogged by Condrey, but you've got to remember Duggan sometimes a little bit too big, and Condrey wasn't able to compensate for it. Arm drag, Duggan trying to get a piece of Cornette as he stays with that arm twist. He's adding it and that extra emphasis. Again, he goes over that corner trying to find any excuse to get a hold of Jim Cornette. He's been watching helplessly outside the ring as Cornette's been using that hit-and-run tactics. And last-minute strategy here by Eaton and Cornette. Cornette better watch out because he's got three individuals in that ring who's going to love to tear into him. Now Cornette following up again on that hit-and-run, quickly scoots out of the ring. And that time the strategy worked. They diverted the attention of Duggan long enough for Eaton to take full advantage of it. Duggan up and over, head on, and that time Duggan won it. And this time he's trying to find a place to send Eaton down to the mat. Duggan setting him up. That driving knee of his found its mark right on Bobby Eaton's chest as Hacksaw Jim Duggan just now enjoying the moment. Cornette's not. He is worried because he does not want to have to get into the ring with any of his opponents unless they're flat on their back. You can see the pads all over the arms and the body of Jim Cornette. And you also saw that clothesline, that same clothesline that used to cause Jim Duggan penalties and fines in the NFL. He's found that that could be a valuable weapon in his arsenal of wrestling holds in professional wrestling. So Eaton now having to face Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He sets him up with that driving elbow, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan looks good. This is the Duggan that fans have come to love, the man who is tough and rugged and who's willing to mix it up with anybody. Eaton into the ropes. Rogers sends him up high into the sky, and as Tommy Rogers takes over, we've got one, and that's all we have. Rogers setting Eaton up as now Rogers going for that monkey flip, and the top, well, the rope came with it. You can see what kind of force he pulled Eaton off with on that monkey flip as they've hooked into the rope. The rope is down. The referee now is trying to set the rope back up. Dennis Condrey wants a timeout. He wants to allow enough time to get that rope fixed. But I think what Condrey has in mind, he's not that worried about the rope, as he's trying to find some extra valuable time for Bobby Eaton. Referee's position. Rogers has got him over in the corner. Condrey's in a bad spot. That's not the spot he wants to be at when he's got Duggan and Fulton on either side of him. Now the Fantastics setting them up in that double drop kick, and they do it beautifully. That both the way they tie him up and explode those legs right into their opponent's face is an excellent move. And it's one reason why they're highly ranked and highly regarded as a tag team throughout the entire wrestling world. That time you saw Eaton trip Fulton, and that is one of the reasons why they are regarded, maybe not in the same level, but they have a way, both of these tag teams, of coming to the aid of their partner and being able to work out victories, whether it's a 1, 2, 3, a submission, or somehow another inside the ropes, they come out victorious. And tonight, they're fighting head-on. 6-man tag war, Houston, Texas, Sam Houston Coliseum. Fall back to the mat, and that's got Eaton in command as he brings up that left arm at that hammerlock, tags in Condrey. Condrey stays after that left arm of Fulton. And Jim Cornette now is taking full advantage of the situation. He sees that he has an opportunity here to drive in a few boots and trying to keep back Fulton, and Cornette staying after Fulton. As soon as he realizes there may be some kind of danger in the ring, he makes his tag. And Condrey comes back in and Condrey's the man doing the dirty work right now. Crotch hold and a drop across that top rope. And that's not just a normal rope, that's a rubber-coated steel cable. And when you drop a man across on his throat, you can see the effects of Bobby Fulton as he's now starting to take a lot of punishment. Eaton staying after that left shoulder as they have found that to be a good target in this match. Fulton getting closer. Duggan and Rogers trying to extend their hands. Eaton taking advantage of Duggan trying to tag his partner as we got Duggan being taken out by the referee. Look at Cornette and look at Condrey take advantage of the fact that the referee is trying to get Duggan outside the ring. We've mentioned several times in this match the word teamwork, and that's what you see. You may not like it. On the side of the Midnight Express, they have a way of pushing the rules and sometimes just outright violating them, but nevertheless, they know the value of teamwork, and Cornette now trying his best to slow down Fulton. As soon as he became unsuccessful, he again tagged one of his boys, and Eaton comes back in. Hammerlock is the hold. Remember, this is a one fall to a finish, so time is not that important. What is important is that they want to gain control of this match and keep control of it, because they do not want the Fantastics bouncing around that ring, and they don't want Hacksaw Jim Duggan to start steamrolling through them. So they've tried to keep Fulton away from that corner. Jim Cornette impatient now. He's never wastes an opportunity to voice his opinion, and at this time he's letting the fans know here in Houston that he still thinks he's the #1 manager in wrestling, as he's trying now to help Carl Fergie do his job of officiating. That's Jim Cornette.
15 minutes gone.
Hard to remember a time when Jim Cornette could be quiet for any length of time. Fulton jumped over Eaton, but he didn't expect Condrey, and they had tagged, and it was a legal tag, and this is what makes the Midnight Express so tough. The Mid-South Tag Team Champions, and for good reason. You just saw it right there with the teamwork they were able to display. Condrey holding on, Fulton inching his way over to the corner. He gets closer and closer, he starts to extend that hand. There you see it, a good, beautiful shot by our cameraman, as you can see the hand getting closer, and just within inches of Jim Duggan was Fulton's fingers. Driving that head into the double knees, and Fulton is caught in a bad way. Bobby Fulton, he has displayed through his wrestling here at the Mid-South and throughout the country his ability to take punishment, and that is being tested right now, as Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey, they're professionals at what they do. When they see their opponent hurt, they know exactly what to do to stay after him, and they are staying after that left shoulder that has worked so well in this match. Bobby Eaton, good close-up shot. Carl Fergie firing a question to Fulton. Jim Cornette outside the ring, again voicing his pleasure at the way this match is going at this particular moment. Carl Fergie making sure that Fulton's given every opportunity to submit. He knows that Fulton's arm has been hurt, and it's just a matter of time before Fulton has to submit unless he can get out of this hold. It's a painful hold. You can see that muscle was the back of the shoulder was being strained by Eaton. Duggan's frustrated. Tommy Rogers is concerned. But they have faith in their partner that Fulton somehow or another will find a way of getting over and tagging and giving them the opportunity to get into this match. One elbow after another, Fulton into the ropes as Eaton caught him beautifully with that crotch hold. Eaton is one of the best wrestlers in catching his opponents and using their momentum to their disadvantage. As the referee distracted, Eaton coming off and falls flat on his stomach. Bobby Eaton came flying off that top turnbuckle. This gave the opportunity for Fulton to tag Duggan. And once you tag Duggan, he can take care of business. So Bobby Fulton barely getting out of the way of Bobby Eaton's high-flying leap. And Cornette now finds himself inside the ring. Hacksaw Jim Duggan looking for an opportunity, and here comes Hercules Hernandez. Hercules Hernandez came out from the dressing room and starting to stomp on Duggan, as at this time Hercules Hernandez was also under the guidance of Jim Cornette. Hercules Hernandez wasn't about to stand back there and watch his manager get annihilated by Duggan. Hacksaw Duggan is fired up. He had his opportunity, and his opportunity was taken away from him by Hercules Hernandez. So the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette lose the match on a disqualification. There's the winner, Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Fantastics, Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton. They are the winners of the six-man tag war from the Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston, Texas, and you saw it right here.
I love to get my hands on that gutless Cornette and wrap that diaper around his head. Well, at least he and his boys met their Waterloo in that match. Hacksaw's the kind of man I like to have next to me in the trenches, and you saw why. All right, men, and you women fans too. A 10 hut, eyes front. I'm proud of you. You made it through this tour of duty, but don't touch that VCR. The monsters of the mat have just begun to fight. There's more of this wrestling on our other releases, including Butch Reed versus Kamala, Hacksaw Jim Dugan versus Ted DiBiase, and Ric Flair versus Terry Taylor. Get ready to enlist again, and you better be there. The sergeant's going to be calling roll call and looking for you. Now at ease, and you're dismissed.